Alright, welcome everybody to another mixing video. Today we're going to be looking at a topic that was requested of me, and that topic is mixing sampled drums. Okay, so the sampler that we're going to be working with today is Steven Slate Drums 4, and if you have this sampler, the preset that I'm using for this groove is Slate Rock 5. And the thing about the Slate drums is they're excellent on their own. So in most cases you could just use them right out of the, no processing, just the way they came. But if you want to add some extra punch or whatever you're looking for, I'll show you some things that I would do, because I treat them just like if they were, a normal regular multi-track drum recording. So before the video, the only thing I did was separate all the pieces of the kit to a multi-track format instead of it just being stereo 2-track. And that might be different in your DAW, but in Cubase you just open up your sampler, go to the mixer and choose your outputs here, and then you hit F11 and you go to your SSD sampler or whatever kit, and you hit activate outputs and you choose the ones that you activated in the sampler itself. So like I said, in your DAW it might be different, but for Cubase that's how you do it. If that was too quick, I can make a video if you want, explaining that further. So then all I did was send all those multi-tracks to a drum bus, which I will then do some processing on at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. When I mix drums, I like to start with the overheads. And if you've been watching my videos, you can probably already tell what I'm going to be using. Everybody already knows that I love the Slate stuff. And I'm going to just choose 2-inch 16-track FG9, which is a more modern tape. And I'm going to go for 15 IPS, IPS, inches per second. To give it a little bit of a low-end boost. And with drums, I like to have this meter hit around -3 here. A lot of people, when they use tape saturation on anything, drums, vocals, whatever, they'll just slam it all the way, and that has its own effect, but I don't recommend slamming everything. But that being said, I do like to kind of slam drums. So let's go ahead and listen to that, and I'll be hitting around the -3 range. Okay, so it just adds a little definition. The cymbals get a little nicer. The snare and kick come out quite a bit. So moving on. As usual, I use the virtual mix rack and VCC. And for this, drums, I really like the API. I'm not exactly sure why, but to me it's just really punchy, and the API is great on drums. So yeah, let's go ahead and drive this a little bit. I love what these two are doing. Listen to the snare real quick. To me, that's just incredible. Just having those two plugins and having it come forward that much and add that much body. VCC and VTM are wonderful, incredible plugins that I pretty much can't live without anymore. So moving on, I then use the SSL EQ, and pretty much with overheads, there's three things that I'll do. I'll high pass, I'll take out some low mids, and sometimes I'll add some high end with a high shelf. But I don't think I need to add any high end on this particular sample because it sounds pretty good. So I'll take out a little bit of muddiness, boxiness from the low mids, and make some room for the actual kick track. So when I high pass on overheads, I don't go real high on it. I try and stay between 40 hertz and 60 hertz. And I know, like, if it was like a metal track or something, I might even come as high as 300 and just take all of that kick out, except for like the clickiness of it, you know. But I would take out all that low end. But this would be like used for like a rock track or something like that, so I want to keep a little bit of that kick in there. I just want to get rid of the ultra low stuff. So let me make those two EQ moves and then we'll listen to the AB. Okay, so I think that that's pretty much all those overheads need. Let's go back and look at that real quick. So, like I said, from 40 to 60, I liked it around 45 because it was getting rid of the ultra low, but it wasn't really getting rid of the kick. You can still hear the kick in there. And then there was just like a little bit of muddiness around 440. Which would be an A note, actually. Anyhow, yeah, so I just took out about 2 dB of that, and I don't think that the overheads require anything more than that. So moving on from there, I would add the kick in, and the way I do this is I keep the overheads going. So I kind of just build up, yeah, I just add on to whatever I've mixed before. So after this kick, I would add this kick, and I would have 3 parts soloed. So I don't do things all in solo. I just start out with one thing soloed and then add on to that sound. So yeah, similar. There's going to be similar processing here, so let's go ahead and listen to it. So not to go over it again, but I'm doing the same exact thing here as with the overheads, just low bias, so that way the saturation affects the low end more. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so let me just explain what I've done so far. So, same thing with the tape and console. No high passing. The only EQ move here is getting a little bit of boxiness removed from around the 400 hertz range again. And then just a little bit of compression from an 1176 here. I mean, a little amount. So, I'm just gonna add one more EQ and make a couple boosts, and then we'll move on. Okay, so all I did was bell curve at 60, about 2 dB. I widened the Q and boosted about 2.5 dB at 3K, and then shelf at 10K. And these two boosts here are just to get a little more of the beater sound out of the kick drum, and then the low end is pretty self-explanatory. So one last thing to do on this, and this is something I do quite frequently on my kick drum. I use R bass at around 60 hertz, and I start with it pretty much all the way down, and I raise it up to where I get some of that fatness. So let's listen to that. In fact, real quick, I'm just gonna boost the crap out of this just so you can hear what it's doing. Okay, so I really like that. It fattened up. Moving on, let's listen to this kick. And it's going to be pretty similar. Just the thing that I wouldn't do is I wouldn't add any R bass to these other two kicks. That would it would muddy up. So I choose one that I like to have the R bass on, and the rest don't get it. So let's go ahead and move on and listen to this. I'm actually gonna just solo this kick just so you guys can hear the difference between this and the other kick. So I'll go between the two. Okay, so you can hear that kind of buzziness a little bit. So you might think on its own like, oh, that sounds nasty, but that actually adds quite a bit of definition. So basically, I'm just gonna roll with that, and kick 1 is gonna be like my low end sound, and then kick 2 and 3 are gonna add some definition to the mid. It's kind of like a low, middle, high kick thing going on. So that being said, I'll go ahead and high pass filter on this. Started at around 40. Actually, I don't want to go any higher than that. And yeah, so like I said, I'm just gonna kind of roll with that idea. And to get a little bit of dynamics, I'm not gonna compress this. I'm actually just what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this FGN, and I'm gonna add some drive. So in fact, no SSL, just the FGN, 40 hertz high pass, and add some saturation here. Wow, that's a huge difference. So the only thing different on the tape was I didn't set the bias to low. I just kept it on normal, and then yeah, just drove it a little harder and added some saturation. So let's listen to that A-B on that kick one more time. That's just night and day to me. I mean, barely anything going on with processing, but you know, clearing up some room for the other kick, it makes it sound fatter. So it's like you're taking away low end, but you're also adding it at the same time. Sometimes EQ is weird that way, and I think it has to do with phase relationship, but I could be wrong. So yeah, very minimal processing there. So moving on, let's listen to this kick by itself, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so that's even more clicky than the other two. So yeah, once again, I'm just gonna take that idea and roll with that, because it was recorded that way for a reason. You know, sometimes you have to just trust whoever was tracking this, and I absolutely trust whoever was working at Slate Digital and tracking these drums. I mean, I believe it was Steven Slate himself, but I could be wrong on that. But I mean, it's recorded that way for a reason, so let's just sort of enhance that idea, you know what I mean? So let's get rolling. Wow. Those kicks are just booming now. So going over this, um, same thing as before, as the last kick on the tape here. Um, a little less drive on the VCC. Same high pass as the other one. And then the boosts here are the boosts that I did on the first kick. So around 3K and a 10K shelf. Just because this kick was really clicky. So I just boosted quite a bit of frequency to get that clickiness to come out even more. I just wanted to accent that. And then some drive from the Neve. And that's all I think that needs. So moving on, let's go to snare top. Okay, so before I even do anything, I'm just going to point out, if you listen, there's a little bit of like a ring. And I mean, drums always have a little bit of a ring to it, but this is just poking out just a little bit too much for my liking. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get rid of that ring. And then I'll just do all the processing on this, and I'll tell you what I did after. Okay, so obviously it's hitting it a little hard, so I would have to adjust the trim just a little more. Um, but let's go over what I did. So I made it hit the tape to where it was distorting, and I liked it, but it was distorting just a little too much, so I dialed it back. With these kind of things, if you want it to distort, get it to where you can hear the distortion, and then take it back just a little bit, and you'll get something sweet with it. Okay, so quite a bit here in the VMR. Once again, using the API, and it was already hitting it quite hard, so I just saturated it a little more, gave it some drive. High passed around 100. Don't really want to go much higher than that. Sometimes you can go up to like 150, but it depends on the sound you're going for. And to me, the ringingness was around like 500 to 700, so I just took that out. Compressed it with a slow attack and fast release, ratio of 4:1, just to get some of that punchiness. And circuit 1 of this compressor in particular is really great on drums, and this transformer sound just adds a lot of body. And speaking of transformer sounds, the Neve has it's known for its transformer sound, so added a little bit of body at 220, a little bit of high mids here at 7.2, and then a shelf at 12K. And this is, if you notice, this is my vocal EQ moves that I use on here, and I use the same exact thing on Snare actually. And then after that, just added some body with the thickness here on Revival, and some top end on the Shimmer, and tried to level match a little bit. It's still adding a little bit of gain, but I think it just sounds so much better already. Let's listen to it one more time. So it's much tighter, more defined. It has quite a bit of body to it. Mostly it's just more punchy, and I really like that. So moving on to snare bottom. When I record drums, a lot of times I don't use a snare bottom mic, but a lot of tracking engineers do. So what I'll do is I'll boost it so you can hear what it's doing, and then as I always do, I'll see what the tracking engineer was going for, and I'll roll with that. Okay, so I think I hear what they're going for, just to get a little bit of that sizzle in there. So this is going to be very similar to what I did on the other kick drums. I'm just going to use my normal tape and console, and then some high pass, and add some saturation. So that'll be it. Okay, so that worked nice, I think. So yeah, The only thing that I think I need to explain here is there's not a lot of bottom end on this at all, and that's definitely not the focus of a snare bottom mic. So I just high passed even higher. I said before, like, I usually don't like to go around 100, more than 100, but that's on snare top. Snare bottom, I don't care about that low end as much, so I went up to 160 here. So yeah, just got my tape and console emulation, high pass, some drive. That's it. Hi-hat is similar to that, so I'll just make the moves and then I'll explain after. Okay, so pretty simple moves on the hi-hat. Drove this as far as it could go because it was just kissing the needle. High bias to affect the high end more with the saturation there. Just drove the crap out of the console, and high pass all the way up to 300. Some more drive because I just love saturation on hi-hats. Then a little bit of a boost here at 7.2, and then a shelf here at 12K. That's it for that. So let's listen to the whole, or well, actually that was the whole kit. So moving on from there, or no, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We have a room track as well. So let's listen to that. So even on its own, that's adding quite a bit of body there. So I'm gonna do some simple moves on this, and yeah, we'll move on from there. Room tracks, I almost always treat it the same way. So yeah, let's I'll show you my go-to room track trick. Okay, so let's go over that. So as usual, VTM, VMR, and then all I did was a high pass around 50, and okay, so with room mics or room tracks, this is what I like to do. There's three things really. I like to add some sort of saturation. I like to add a lot of compression and some reverb, which is exactly what I did here. So saturation from the Neve, saturation here from the all buttons mode on the 1176, which is a classic technique on room mics. Had to dial it down a little bit, and then making sort of a drum room reverb from the plate reverb. So you can see my usual filtering, the Abbey Road technique here, dialing it down. Very, very short reverb tail. And yeah, that's my pretty much go-to drum reverb here on plate B because it's pretty dark. So that's everything. One thing I didn't explain, which you must have saw, was that I panned the hi-hat to the left because for some reason I just always like it on the left. Don't ask me why. I always have my hi-hat on the left. Always. Okay, so that's the whole kit. And we'll go to the drum bus and do some processing there, and then we'll be done. Okay, so my go-to drum bus is usually I wouldn't have this VCC bus here, but since I don't have any master fader, what I'm trying to say is usually this would be on my master fader, but I'm not using any mix bus processing, so I'm gonna have it here instead. So normally my mix bus chain is just from here on. So what I do is I do a little bit of high pass at 21 just for that ultra low stuff. Cut out some boxiness and a little bit of a high shelf, and then some revival. I don't always use revival, but I thought that it sounded good on this. And then I just trimmed it back just because I didn't do any gain staging on this, so obviously everything was being slammed really hard. You're not hearing any clipping, but you know, I should have gain staged this, but for the sake of time, since this is already a very long video, I didn't bother. So yeah, then from there, I use my favorite drum bus compressor, which is FG Red, and slow attack, fast release for some punch. On drums, I like a ratio of 4:1. High pass side chain here at 60, so the that R bass isn't really triggering it too much. Some saturation once again, and just getting around 2 dB of compression, and making up about 0.7, just because I don't want to hit it too hard. So let's listen to it from the beginning, and I'll go ahead and pop everything in and out. So yeah. Okay, so to me, it started out really good, and definitely very usable for many tracks. So all this processing, it it depends on these choices depend on what kind of song you're working with. To me, with this processing, it's definitely more punchy and little more realistic sounding, but something that you want the drums to sit back a little more, well, maybe I would take all these plugins off and just leave it there. So with everything in mixing, it depends on the song, and I know if you've been watching videos like these from anyone, that's what everybody always says, and you kind of get tired of hearing it, but it's really true. So it depends on the song, but this is just some usual drum processing that I use, and depending on if it's real drums or sample drums, there might be a little bit of tweaks, but this is pretty much what I always use. So that's it for this video. I hope you learned a couple tricks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you didn't, you can go ahead and give it a dislike. That's fine. As I always say, you're entitled to your opinion. For those of you that are gonna throw a fit about it hitting over 0, I think it still sounded good. I understand that you get a little bit of plug-in degradation from not gain staging it properly, but for the sake of time, I didn't do it. I just woke up a couple hours ago and just woke up and decided that I was gonna do this because a couple people actually asked for this. So yeah, if you really liked this video, please subscribe and stick around for some more mixing videos, because there's definitely more to come.